Shukran, Doctora. Thank you so much for the opportunity from you and your excellencies, allowing me to share some of my experiences as an executive, as an academic, and as a scientist. Doctora Ebtesam, she presented us with quite a quick challenge, right? A difficult challenge. Today, to fast forward some of our experience doing geopolitical strategic analysis and risk analysis, thank you, to decode the future. What we'll see today is many, many years. It's just a sample of some of our big and small data. Work for the US, foreign governments, the World Bank, the UN, the African Union, and several private sector companies worldwide. So, what are our keys to decoding the future? I give you three very simple keys today: knowledge, technology, and science. The first key, knowledge. Let's start with the Arab Spring revolutions, the Arab winter, the story we all know. And a desperate Tariq Bouazizi was literally the spark that unfortunately lit the powder keg of instability in so many places. But every spark needs a combustible material. It needs an accelerant to create that explosion. And in the Arab Spring, that spark was political, economic, and socially structural fragile environments. And a lot of us missed it. Demographers long ago had said that, well, a large underemployed youth bulge would create some necessary conditions for instability. Their estimates were something would happen in 2015, plus or minus 10 years. Not very actionable for policymakers if you want to make a decision. My economist friends, they also had a story to tell. Given the 2000 global recession, with a lot of countries dependent on export revenues, they started running very deep fiscal crises, and they were unable subsequently to maintain a large public sector workforce to offset unemployment. Most of my political friends, on the other hand, were caught off guard, completely unaware as the status quo trends and trajectories would continue. As His Excellency said this morning, it was really the incongruence between governance, between the supply of public and private goods that a government gives, and the social demand for hope or opportunity that created these conditions that were ripe for the spark of instability. So let's talk about knowledge, our first key. Here, as national strategists, most of you are well aware of something what we call a POMISI framework. What are the political, military, economic, social, informational, and infrastructural elements of our human social behavior? So as policymakers, as professionals alike, we look for the necessary and sufficient conditions to explain our events across these political, economic, social, and military domains. And we look at them from very different levels, almost like a cake. We look at the top level, the macroeconomic or political or social structures. We look at the individuals at the bottom level with the people and their incentives. And we look at the soft center of the social fabric of groups, et cetera. Here, I'm not going to bore you and fill in any of these boxes because everyone in the audience today probably can fill in at least one, if not several of these boxes. You are the world's premier experts in what you do, and that is why we're sitting here today, thanks to everyone. So I think we can cover all these boxes, and we could do it quite well. So what I want to do now is give you the second key. The second key is technology. And so today we have more power in our smartphones, as we were well aware, than NASA did in 1969 to send a man to the moon. So besides using it for Facebook, Twitter, or me ordering Uber to deliver some shawarma last night, there's a lot of power in it. And there's power in it for three reasons. So one is, most of you are aware of the Internet of Things. So there's 20 to 50 billion devices that are going to be connected in the next few years to the internet. That's 20 or 50 billion different sensors. That's 20 or 50 billion different types of data points that could be live streaming real time. So when we say big data, it's really big data. Number two, Moore's Law, which most of you have heard. Gordon Moore, founder of Intel, had this famous law that processor speeds and memory chips, basically capacities double every 18 months. So over the last 40 years, what we've seen is a 1,000-fold increase in our computing power. But a lot of people don't recognize another fellow named Kreider. Kreider has a very interesting law, is that over the same 40 years, we've had a 43,000-fold increase in terms of our efficiency of coding and of algorithms. So if you multiply Moore, you multiply Kreider, what does this give us? This gives us the frontier of what we can do today, how to decode the future. We have a 43 million increase in our capabilities. So what can we do with that? Let's talk about the third key. Let's talk about science. So with this knowledge, with this technology, we are engineering some very exciting science today. So let's see up on the slide. We're engineering Google Maps. No, I'm joking. We're not engineering Google Maps. But it's a great, great analogy for what we're doing as academics and as policymakers. So if you want to go from point A to point B, let's say we're going to start in my office in New York, we're going to go downtown to Wall Street. You as the policymaker, I as a policymaker, we determine our starting point. We set the destination. And your national leader or yourself sets the time that you're going to leave. The Pomisi environments, those structures we saw, they determine the roads, they determine the infrastructure, they determine the weather, sunny, cloudy, chance of thunderstorms or instability, to see what you should wear and how you should get there. Your assets, your portfolio, that determines whether you're going to take the metro, whether you're going to walk, whether you're going to drive. And the traffic on these maps, that's you, that's me, that's everyone else trying to achieve their goals. That's everyone else trying to get to their destination. And that is a lot of human social, cultural, behavioral uncertainty. So let's see this frontier of what's possible, how we can decode the future. I'm going to show you two things. One, an early warning weather system, and two, a navigation system called Centurion. So let's quickly look at some of these platforms, and the first is our early warning system. So as I said, I like to think about this thing as a global forecasting system for radicalization as well as happiness and prosperity. Here we're using big data to capture events in near real time all over the world. So using big data, we can begin to see who does what to whom, where, when, and why. This all comes from social media, news stories, sources across the internet, and we can map and track these events like weather. So let's go to a not so happy place today. Let's go and let's see if we can go to Yemen. There we go. Takes a little while to get the big data spaceship moving. So let's go to Yemen, where we were talking about this morning. Let's see all the sights and sounds and the news stories we're familiar with. So what we can do is begin to see what are the events, who is talking to whom, and what is going on. Now, let's go to a very different story. Let's talk about the actors. Let's talk about the people in Yemen. So here we have the government being attacked by the Houthis, and we can see them doing very particular actions against other people here. Now, what about the government? They have their own perspective. Their actions and reactions and interactions form their perceptions. It forms their mental model. But that isn't static. It keeps on going. And over time, what is going to happen? There's information, there's patterns in here. and there's tipping points. And it's not that it is incomprehensible, it's just that we can see it. So can you please scroll down, please? Scroll, scroll, scroll. Sorry, we're putting together all the technology and everything at the last minute. Keep on going, please. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep going. Please, please, please. 6, wonderful. Now we can go back to our happy place. We're going to Abu Dhabi, and we're going to see how different it is from Yemen. And instead of conflict, let's look at cooperation. There's going to be very different events. Here we're focusing on cooperation between a government and its citizens. And we're going to be looking at very different outcomes of societal achievement than what we saw in Yemen. So UAE is a very different place. It's a different environment with different people, with different social fabric. And here we can see the weather forecast of government cooperation, capturing, in this example here, we're looking at sentiment analysis. We're looking at emotional tone of all the news reports, how people are feeling. Does it make them feel good? Does it make them feel bad? So this allows us to take technology and not just use it for what's the likelihood of a thunderstorm, but what's the likelihood of a sunny day? So just waiting for this to catch up. Or you can stop. So this is the network of reactions, interactions in Abu Dhabi. This is who does what to whom, how, where, when, and why. And this is usually a happy story, a very, very happy story. But we can take this story and we can focus it down and focus it on a particular event not too long ago, the Qatar crisis. And now we can use game theory, we can use behavioral economics, and we can turn it into a navigation system to see where different stakeholders, what are their interests, and how are they like to act, react, and interact. So we can play this movie, we can look ahead, and we can see today, given the landscape of the Qatar crisis, what's likely to happen. Are people going to agree? Will the Qataris give in to our demands? And what level of international support will still be there? What will the Iranians do? What will the Russian or the Chinese do? What will the US do? Will they continue to support us, and what are likely outcomes? So we could also run this 1,000,000 times, and 1,000,000 times using Monte Carlo analysis and good scientific simulation technology to see what are the confidence intervals. Are we likely to agree or disagree? To give us a lot of certainty and a lot of confidence in the things we do. And we can also let the computer run it 1,000,000 times, looking at different scenarios that we never even thought of as academics, as policymakers, or as professionals. So this is what provides the key to decoding the future for us. Knowledge, technology, and science. So why is this important? I don't think I really need to say why it's important, because all of us sitting in this room today, we're guilty by association. We are the world's leading experts in each thing we do professionally. Listening to our colleagues here today resolutely answers that question. So now we have all the keys to decoding the future: the knowledge, the technology, the science, see what's possible, to help answer mission-critical, tactical, operational, and strategic questions. How? By combining advances in data, in science, and high-performance computing that weren't even possible 5 years ago. And it's not necessarily AI or artificial intelligence. I call it IA, intelligence augmentation. Why? The speed and pace of this planet moves faster than any one single human individual can process alone. But the good news is we still have our knowledge, we still have our technology, and we still have our science. So with gratitude to Dr. Ebtissam, her vision, determination, and leadership, I look forward to watching all of us move into the frontier of what's possible together. Shukran.